Welcome back to Trash Plays the Fear No Evil campaign for Marvel Champions using Daredevil, and I am playing against Typhoid Mary in the Getaway. Now, in the previous videos, I've kind of accidentally cheated just a little bit, and I'm thinking that I'm starting to get the sort of feel of what Daredevil can and can't do and how he's able to do stuff, so hopefully there won't be any of that this game. And because we are playing in the campaign, this, especially against Typhoid Mary, this looks like there's a lot of stuff in this setup, and there kind of is, so let's go over things. So, the Getaway starts with 1 speed counter and 2 threat, and it has forced interrupt when the round ends. If there is threat here, do each of the following: place 1 speed counter here and flip, and if alongside is in play, flip to out front, otherwise place 1 additional speed counter here. Now, the round ends at the end of the villain phase, which is after they get threat from just the villain phase activating. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to end the villain phase with no threat on there, but whatever. That's how it was designed, I guess, to be very, very hard to not get threat on there. There are some cards that let you not put threat on the main scheme, but they're very kind of rare. So, the out front starts out in play. It has permanent attached to the villain. If there is no threat on the main scheme, flip this card. So once I throw it out the main scheme, I get to flip this to alongside. It has the attached villain's attack gain range, then force interrupt when the villain would be dealt any amount of damage. Remove that amount of threat from the main scheme instead, ignoring the crisis icon. So basically, I can't damage Typhoid Mary until I actually get into melee range with her, and I am alongside her, but I can do damage to start getting alongside her. As for Typhoid Mary, she is a 2-1, and force interrupt when Typhoid Mary would be defeated, place 1 damage on Disturb Psyche instead, and set her hit points to 10. So Disturb Psyche has set up, put the villain into play on a random side, and reveal it. So let us roll a dice to see which one it's going to be. If it's even, I'm going to stick with Typhoid Mary. If it's odd, I'm going to choose Bloody Mary. And that is odd, so she's going to start in Bloody Mary form. Bloody Mary is a 1-2, higher attack, less scheme, and has the same effect when she would be defeated. Place 1 damage on the Disturbed Psyche, and reset her hit points to 10. So what's with the damage? It has force interrupt when the villain phase ends, flip the villain. So at the end of every villain phase, I have to remember to do the Getaway, and flip the villain, and if there are 3 or more tokens here, the players win the game. So basically, if I defeat her 3 times, I win the game, or I can go down the established trust route, which is also a permanent and set up in expert mode. This card gains hinder 3. I'm not playing expert, so it starts with 8 threat, and when defeated, place 1 threat token on Disturb Psyche and flip this card. So I can either put threat or damage on the Disturb Psyche to defeat Typhoid Mary. However, when it comes to the campaign for this game, the ideal way to win is by doing the established trust, because if Disturb Psyche is in play, and if there is at least 2 threat on it, which you get by sorting out the established trust, check the Trust Established box in the campaign log, and when you do the setup for these games, you place the... No, if Trust Established is checked in the campaign log and Mary defeated is not, put Typhoid Mary campaign ally to 10A into play under any player's control. So that's how you start the game off with the campaign card Typhoid Mary in play as an ally. Basically, you build up trust with her instead of defeating her. Anyways, and then for the campaign setup for the Getaway, we start off with the Jackknife Tanker Truck, because when I started this game, I had 2 check marks next to it. So if there's at least 1 check mark besides the Getaway, find Jackknife Tanker Truck and reveal it. If there are 2 check marks, place 1 additional per person threat on the Jackknife Tanker Truck. So it starts with 2, but it has hinder 1, and then I place 1 more because I started off with this quest almost failed, basically. So that, I believe, is the end of setup, except for the fact that I'm playing campaign. So I defeated the art museum heist successfully, so I get to give myself a tough status card, and I also defeated the protection racket successfully. After resolving mulligans, each player may search their deck and discard power for a support and add it to their hand. In expert mode, each player who did so discards 1 card from their hand. I'm not playing an expert, so now we can begin. Let us draw our hand size of 6, because I start in Mac Murdock mode, not in Daredevil mode, and see what I want to mulligan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I kind of just want a lot of thwart, to be completely honest. I want to get rid of this and that. So blind spot's kind of expensive. De-escalation, don't need that yet. Billy's Club, kind of don't need that. Dagger I can find via something else, and know your enemy, might keep that. It's kind of, Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for every side scheme in play, and there are 2 side schemes, so that's 3, that's quite a lot for Jessica Jones. So if I go 3 for Jessica Jones, that leaves me with 2 cards that I could then use to play a support. I guess that would be maybe Foggy, So if I were to get Foggy out, I could do 2 from the Jackknife Tanker Truck, flip over. If I get Foggy out and Jessica Jones, they could both... No, that works out, that works out. Okay, so yeah, let's just keep this hand because I have everything I need. So let's start by using my campaign bonus to search for Foggy Nelson and put Foggy Nelson into my hand. Foggy Nelson. Alter Ego action, exhaust Foggy Nelson, remove 2 threat from a scheme. And then I am going to use those 2 cards, Know Your Enemy and Dagger, to play Foggy Nelson, and I'm going to exhaust Foggy Nelson to remove 2 threat from a scheme. That's going to be the Jackknifed Tanker Truck. I'm going to use these 3 to pay for Jessica Jones, and then Jessica Jones is... But I guess it technically doesn't matter. I guess Jessica Jones could thwart out the Jackknifed Tanker Truck, and she's going to take 1 damage from that, followed by me flipping over to hero form, and then I'm going to manually thwart out the Getaway, so that is now gone. I'm also going to not have Disturb Psyche out here because it's taking up space, and then because I have thwarted out the main scheme completely, I will now, if there's no threat on the main scheme, flip this card. Yeah, it doesn't say force interrupt or anything, but it says if there's no threat on it, flip this card. So I'm assuming that's a global always on effect. So we're going to flip this over to alongside. This has permanent. When revealed, each player takes 1 indirect damage. I'm just going to take that damage myself. Oh, I have a tough. I think I'm going to deal that damage to Jessica Jones, actually, so that Bloody Mary's attack will get not... it'll be dealt with by my tough. So then the villain takes 2 per person indirect damage, or not indirect damage, just 2 per person damage, so she's up to 2 damage. I exhausted myself to thwart the Getaway. Jessica Jones exhausted. Foggy Nelson. Yeah, that's going to be the end of my turn, drawing back up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the Jackknife Tanker Truck should be gone. Okay. Heroic Intuition, Dance with the Devil, Legal Trouble, Man Without Fear, and Lie Detector. I'm liking that hand. So, main scheme is going to get 2. Bloody Mary is then going to attack me. I'm not going to block this because I have the tough, so she's attacking, and that's boosting for give the activating enemy an additional boost card. Lovely. And that's going to be no star. She doesn't have Pierce. I don't see any reason why she would have Pierce. Yeah, so I don't take any damage from this because my tough is just going to go away instead. Followed by revealing a card. That card is going to be Burning Rubber. When revealed, for each speed counter on a main scheme, choose 1. Either spend 1 resource of any type or place 1 threat on a main scheme. I don't want to spend a resource, and I have Heroic Intuition in my hand, so I guess I'm just going to put 1 on the main scheme because I can thwart that out easy. So that's going to be the end of the villain phase. Now, it's the end of the villain phase, so Bloody Mary is going to flip over to Typhoid Mary, and then the Getaway is going to activate. If there is threat on here, which there is, place 1 speed counter on here, and then if alongside is in play, flip it to out front. Otherwise, place 1 additional speed counter here. So we're back to out front again. And now it's my turn. Okay. How do I want to do this? I don't want Typhoid Mary to scheme because she has the higher scheme, but it's also not that much scheme. Let's go with Living Light Detector. What can I do with the I can enhance Offlocation onto the Trust. I can also put the Taste out on the Trust, and I can put the Acute Tactility on the Trust. I can't put out the Hearing on the Trust, so if I use 3 cards for this, 1, 2, 3, then I could use the Living Light Detector to remove 2 plus 1 for every upgrade attached to it. That would use up my entire hand, but what could I do with that then? So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would not be enough to actually thwart it out completely, unfortunately. So what's my other option then? My other option is thwart for 3 manually if I use the Heroic Intuition, Living Light Detector, and Legal Trouble for the Heroic Intuition. Save the Man Without Fear, maybe? I kind of want to save the Man Without Fear. But I guess I could go Living Light Detector and not keep the Man Without Fear. But the Man Without Fear is pretty good. I'm going to keep the Man Without Fear. Yeah, let's go Dance with the Devil and Legal Trouble to pay for the Heroic Intuition then, since I can't thwart it out like use my entire hand. I'd rather play my upgrades. So that's going to give me 3 thwart total. I guess Daredevil will manually thwart out this 3 threat on the main scheme, which will once again flip this over to a long side. So I'm going to take 1 indirect damage. I'm going to deal that to myself, and that's going to deal 2 indirect damage to Typhoid Mary. Do I want to keep Jessica Jones around? Or should I just use her right now while I can? You know what? Let's start setting this up at the very least. So Daredevil, I'm already exhausted. I'm going to use my Living Light Detector to pay for the Enhanced Suffocation. I might as well not waste a card just sitting around in my hand. And then let's let Typhoid Mary scheme. I think I'm okay with that. So she can't scheme for that much, can she? 2 plus 3. It's going to start with 2. It's going to get 2 more. If she boosts for 3, that's going to bring it up to 7. And then she could... no, it's not worth it. I could automatically lose. I could automatically lose right now. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So Jessica Jones is going to sit around doing nothing then, I guess, and I'll draw back up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to be Getaway is going to get 2. Typhoid Mary is going to attack for 1. I'm not going to block this. I don't feel the need to block... Nope, wrong deck. I don't feel the need to block this. That's just going to boost for 1, so I'm going to take 2 damage. Followed by a card. Yeah, just a card. Quick Strike Vulnerable Cop. Unfortunately, Quick Strike, so I will take 2 more damage from this. And if they would scheme, it attacks the villain instead. And then it's the end of the round, so Typhoid Mary is going to flip over to Bloody Mary, and then this is going to get 1 more speed counter. And this is going to flip back over to out front. And now it's my turn. Okay. Maybe this time I want to flip over then. Unfortunately, she's not confused. I have Nelson and Murdoch. After an attorney character or support defeats a side scheme, confuse an enemy. So if I can defeat this side scheme, I can then confuse Bloody Mary. That would be quite nice. If I were able to play it, I should say. So let's use Stick. I think I have enough. So I'm going to use Stick to pay for Nelson and Murdoch. I'm going to use Move and Shadow and Contingency Planning to pay for the Man Without Fear. Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for every side scheme in play, so that's going to be 2 scheme. And Jessica Jones is going to thwart 2 from the Established Trust, which will defeat Jessica Jones from the consequential damage. After that, Daredevil is going to scheme for 3 from the, or thwart 3 from the Established Trust. He's going to be exhausted. Then I'm going to use my Man Without Fear, deal 1 damage to myself, to unexhaust myself, and then scheme or thwart 3 again from the Established Trust. And that is going to... but then my Enhanced Suffocation is wasted. That's okay. This goes to the graveyard, and then this gets flipped over. When defeated, place 1 threat on Disturbed Psyche, so 1 goes on to Bloody Mary, and then flip this card. So this turns into Mary Walker, attached to the villain permanent. Attached villain cannot activate. So she can't activate at all the next phase. Even if she were to get a card that allows her to scheme or whatever, she cannot activate, period. Force response: after the villain takes damage or the round ends, deal each player 1 face down encounter card, then flip this card. So I'm still going to get an encounter card. The villain just can't activate. Now that that has happened, I am exhausted, but I'm not a Oh wait, no, I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney, so I can't use Nelson and Murdoch, but you know what, that's okay. I'm now going to flip over to Masked View Murdoch, and as an alter ego, I can now use Foggy Nelson to exhaust him and remove 2 threats from a scheme. That's going to remove 2 from the main scheme, and that's going to flip the out front into a long side, so I'm going to take 1 indirect damage, followed by the villain taking 2 more damage, and that's it. Okay. Drawing back my hand size of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And please give me alter ego stuff. Cross-examination, Electra. This is not alter ego stuff. Main scheme is going to get 2. And then Bloody Mary attempts to activate, but she can't activate. And then Cop attempts to scheme, but whenever he would scheme, he attacks the villain instead. So he's going to deal 2 more damage to Bloody Mary. And then I'm going to get dealt a face-down card. That face-down card is going to be Traffic Jam. Hinder 2, so that's going to come into play with 4. And Force Interrupt: when a character with a vehicle attachment would add threat to the scheme, that threat is added here instead. Remove threat from a scheme, that threat is removed from here instead. So basically I have to thwart this out, and then whenever they would scheme, it adds to the traffic jam. Okay, that's not that bad. But then I get dealt a face down card. Mary Walker is now flipped back over to Established Trust, which comes into play with 8. And then the Getaway is going to get another speed counter, and I need to flip alongside back into Out Front, and now it's my turn. Okay, so if I can deal her 2 damage... If I can deal her 2 damage, and then thwart out the Established Trust, I will win. Oh, I forgot to flip Bloody Mary. So Bloody Mary should still flip, I believe, and she goes into Typhoid Mary. And now I need to figure out how I'm going to do this. I could just stay in Alter Ego and let the cop defeat Typhoid Mary for me. So if I can just focus on trying to thwart out the Established Trust this turn, but unfortunately I don't have any of my thwarting stuff from Daredevil in my hand. Yeah, I was really trying to think of a way that I could use Foggy Nelson to thwart out the traffic jam so that I could activate Nelson and Murdoch to confuse Typhoid Mary, but I can't think of a way. So I guess I'll just start with the Foggy Nelson to remove 2 from traffic jam. That's going to be the start of my turn, and then I think it might be possible to win this turn. It might just be possible. What is in my... I have acute tactility and superior taste in my hand. I am going to flip over to Daredevil. As Daredevil, I am going to use Move in Shadow to pay for Move in Shadow. It has discount 1 for Martial Artist. As Daredevil, I am a Martial Artist. And whenever I play a card, I get to remove 1 threat from my scheme, including this one. So that's going to remove 1 from Traffic Jam. It's after I play a card. So then I am going to use Cross-Examination to pay for Superior Taste on the Established Trust. And because I just played a card, I get to remove 1 from the Traffic Jam, which is now going to defeat the Traffic Jam. I'm going to use my Chance Encounter to play Acute Tactility on Established Trust, and then Electra to pay for the Hearing on Typhoid Mary. I guess I'll use the last card on Focus Descent. I'll use my Focus of Senses to also put that on to Bloody Mary. I lost track of which cards was played when because I should have been using my Move in Shadow. I believe 2 of these cards were played that I did not account for when it comes to Move in Shadow. So that removes 2 more from the Established Trust. Then Daredevil is going to thwart 3 from the Established Trust, and he's going to be exhausted. Then I'm going to exhaust my Man Without Fear to unexhaust Daredevil, take 1 damage, and that's going to allow me to thwart the Established Trust again, so now I am fully exhausted. I suppose I could have used my Superior Taste or whatever. Acute Tactility, now I can discard this to ready my hero. Because the Established Trust is completed, I now get to put 1 threat onto Bloody Mary. After the villain takes damage or the round ends, deal each player 1 face-down encounter card and flip this card. Okay, so she can still take damage. I can just damage her while she is in Mary Walker form, which is kind of messed up. But Daredevil was unexhausted, so now I can attack Typhoid Mary, deal her 2 damage, and then she's defeated. Yeah, I can also discard the Radar Sense to deal 3 more damage, and she's defeated. Okay, cool. There was a lot of moving parts to that fight. I'm fairly certain I did everything correctly. But also, I think my biggest main takeaway is that, like, Daredevil can do a lot. Like, he's super versatile. He can do whatever he wants every turn, basically. It's crazy. The Getaway is kind of confusing. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to be dealing with the Getaway, aside from just thwarting as much as I can, I guess, and just dealing a bunch of damage. Oh, wait, no, hold up. The Getaway would not... Typhoid Mary would not have taken the 2 damage from... She would have taken the 2 damage from the attack, which would thwart it from the Getaway instead, to get us out front, which would flip the thing over, which would put me at 9 damage, and it would deal 2 more damage to her. Yeah, she would take 2 damage from the environment thing, from the out front flipping over to alongside, and I also had my attachment, which would deal another 3 damage, even if that doesn't count somehow. Yeah. Okay, it's all good. So I definitely won. Okay, Yeah, lots of moving parts, especially when you combine both of these together, but that's fine. It's not like stuff you have to actively keep track of every turn. It's just at the end of the round, do this stuff, and then if it punishes you, I guess. But yeah, Daredevil has a lot of play lines, and I'm really digging Daredevil so far. Like, he's super fun. He's super fun. Anyways, now that we have won that encounter, let's do our campaign stuff. Where is the rest of my campaign cards? So Disturbed Psyche is part of this encounter. Protection Racket is now complete, along with Art Museum Heist and the Getaway. The Getaway is what we just did. Yeah. So now it is... Why are my cards all mixed up? It is the Raft Breakout and Purple Man that are remaining. Or Hammerhead and the Purple Man. And then both of these are on Failure State 1. So I'm going to pick one of these, but the problem is that when it comes to this campaign, for Step 3, it says progress each scenario matching a drawn environment by marking its first unmarked box to the right of that scenario. If only one environment was drawn, mark 2 boxes instead. If a scenario has 3 exits to it, it is failed. So because these are both on Stage 1, if I pick one of them, which I have to, then that's going to add 2 to the other one, so it's going to go from 1 to 3, which means it's going to fail. So I guess this campaign was designed in a way where you have to fail one of them, and you're not going to play all 6 of the fights in this campaign, which is fine, because that leaves 1 fight left for Echo to play with, because I, still have to play Echo, so that's going to be great. And I think I'm going to go with the Raft Breakout as our fight, because it just sounds more fun than Stop the Presses. Like, the Raft Breakout versus Stop the Presses. Which one are you going to choose, right? But now we have to choose which villain it's going to be, so let's roll the dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be a 5, so we're going to be playing against Hammerhead in the Raft Breakout, and then that leaves Purple Man and Stop the Presses for Echo as just a regular fight, and hopefully I will see you there. Goodbye.